Who is Dan Furman? How did Dan Furman end up in Louisville, Kentucky?
The player knows he's going in the portal before the portal opens.
Do we need to move the portal 2 or 3 weeks back?
Every department in the country there's a lot of stagnant situations out there.
We got football portal coming up. We need 25 kids.
We don't need to take photos at 8 different schools and post them on our Instagram. Like, this is a business.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Funding Fathers here at the closing table. Myself, Chad Paris.
Jesse Cronin.
Tyler Jenkins.
Today, man, we got some Cardinal fans. Actually, not even Cardinal fans. This is sports fans. This is going to be a good one. We got in a very special guest. It's going to probably blow your mind with some stuff. Something that is already blowing our minds with NIL because we can't conceptualize how big this animal and this monster is. So today, joining us, though, with the University of Louisville, 502 Circle, Floyd Street Media, Mr. Dan Furman, head of the NIL department. Welcome, Dan.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah,
Looking forward to having you, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So listen, I mean, we're going to start this off. Let's do a little, who is Dan Furman? How did Dan Furman end up in Louisville, Kentucky, generating millions of dollars in this crazy world, man? So how's Dan Furman end up here in the city of Louisville?
It's nuts, man. It feels like I've been here 2 weeks, but I think I'm going on like season 9.
Jesus.
Been here forever now, it feels like. But we've, my first day on the job, I got hired back when Vince had just taken the AD job. So I think Vince took the AD job, Vince Tyre, in April, and I got hired in June, like the first weekend in June. And I'm like driving on the campus, and they were pulling the Papa John's sign down off the side of the stadium.
Like off to a rough start.
I call my boss at the time, Michael Dudas, who's like one of my closest friends, mentors, and it's been. We've kind of been through it all together, and as I'm calling him, he's like, "Buddy, listen, this is the best time to ask people for money. Like, we need them. We need them right now." And that's when I learned, like, hey, it's going to be a rough haul. Like, we had a little bit of a long haul there, but quite frankly, like, this city's nuts. I mean, these people love Louisville athletics. They love Louisville sports, and for them to support me the way that they did over that course of time, it's not really common. They didn't know me. I'm not from here, but now I gotta say that I'm from Louisville. I'm still originally from Philly, but man, I'm from Louisville now. Like, I live in Louisville, so it's been cool to watch that transition. But I've been here quite some time, and I started. I always was involved in sports growing up.
Okay.
Grew up an athlete. Both my brothers were athletes in college. My middle brother played baseball at Iona. Youngest brother's still playing baseball in the Giants system.
Oh, that's cool.
He's in big league camp right now, trying to hack his way through. Minor league guy, trying to figure it out. So we always were ingrained in like the sports system, and I wasn't the smartest bulb in the box. So like I always was trying to figure out, hey, what can I get into? That's at the intersection of like business and sports. And it was the fall of my senior year of college. Had realized, man, I was playing baseball at Pitt, and realized that I probably wasn't going to play professional baseball. I was. It's
one of the hardest realizations.
Where like playing was a loose term. I was playing baseball at Pitt, but that was a loose term. So I was on the team. I was part of it. And wound up having I got invited to our athletic director, Scott Barnes, at the time. He had a suite at Heinz Field for the football games, and Pitt was playing Marshall. I get invited to the suite, and I'm sitting down, and Dan Bartholomew, who was the deputy AD at the time, who's now the AD at Western Michigan. I'm like sitting there, and he comes up to me and says, "Hey, what do you want to do when you're about to be done, man? What are you gonna do when you're done playing baseball?" And I was like, "Well, how do I do what you do? This looks sick, Like you're in the suite watching the game. Every time I see you, you're just you're walking around a baseball field or a basketball court. It looks like a sick gig." And he was like, "Come by the office this week, and me, you, and Scott will sit down." So sure enough, like, invites me in. I go sit down with him and Scott Barnes, and like those guys, they probably don't remember that the way that I do. But I hope that one day I'm going to be able to help kids get into this business the way that they helped me. Because I sat down, I remember I'm sitting in Scott's office, and his office at Pitt at the time was all glass on the back. So you're like on campus, you're overlooking all the medical buildings. It's up on the hill, the Peterson Event Center, and he was decked out in this like all white Jordan Pitt basketball outfit. And they were about to leave for like one of the opening trips of the year, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, dude, this kid is sick. This guy's balling right now. And I'm like, we're having the conversation about how I'm going to get into the business and what you should do. And we came to the conclusion that development, fundraising, was like the next future of ADs and success in the business. And thank God I listened to them. and I wound up taking an opportunity at the ACC that Scott really connected me to. He said I was going to the ACC conference offices for meetings later in the month, and there was a woman by the name of Chris Pierce who her office, when you came in the front of the conference office down in Greensboro, there was a big wooden door on the right side, and her office was the first door on the right once you got through the door. But the door was like full code. You couldn't get through the door without somebody letting you in. So Scott was like, hey, when you go down there, knock on the door to the right. She's the first office on the right. Make sure you introduce yourself. Tell her you want the ACC Futures internship, yada, yada, right? So, of course, being young and dumb, there's a break in the meeting. So I wander out, I knock on the door. Of course, Chris answers. I'm like, I'm looking for Chris Pierce. She's like, that's me, And I think she's the deputy AD at Navy now with Michael Kelly and those guys. So all these guys have gone and taken other jobs. And but I wind up, I'm like, Chris, I want the job. And she's like, all right, well, you're going to come down here. You're going to interview. And they put you through this process. It's an internship that's only for ACC student athletes. Which are really cool.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And there's 6 internships that you have to jockey for each of them. And there's the ACC Futures internship. There was an internship at the Orange Bowl, which is football operations. 6 different opportunities that all gave you a different skill set or experience. But I knew that was the one I wanted. And I don't even think at the time I knew what it really was. This was a operations, game day management, you're in the weeds of college athletics. You're learning how to run a championship, dealing with officials, scheduling, all those types of things. So I wind up going to these interviews, and it was competitive. You're literally just in and out of a ballroom all day, interviewing with these people, and it's a little bit overwhelming. I took pit baseballs down there, signed them, left them for people. I thought I was a gangster. I was I'm like, oh man, I got this locked up. So sure enough, I get the job, and I get the internship at the ACC, and go do that for about a year, and had an absolute blast. I was 22 years old, just finished up college. I'm hosting championships. I'm on a golf course riding Gatorade coolers around. I was like, dude, this is the best job in the world. But I realized
that's cool.
That if I wanted to keep advancing, wanted to keep growing, I had to build a network, and that's what they helped me do. Commissioner Swafford was unbelievable. Ben Terry, all these guys that were at the conference office, Donald, they literally put me in situations that I had no business being in. I'm sitting down with ADs and different senior level administrators trying to figure out what the next step was for me. And everybody kept saying the same thing, dude, you're a sales guy. You got to go into development. You got to get in development. You want to be a part of that donor experience. And so I jumped into it. But at the time, when I was going through that process, and a lot of kids are dealing with this right now, to get a job, you got to have 2 or 3 years experience.
It's job market's tough.
And it wasn't in development. The job market sucks right now, right?
You got to know somebody.
Yeah.
The network is everything.
You got to know somebody. So
back to that networking.
It's
so
huge.
Sure enough, I'm helping run a championship in Miami, outdoor track and field, and got connected with Christine Herring, who was the senior woman administrator at the time. And she took a shot on me. She made a couple phone calls, and I got connected with Michael Dudas and Vince Tyre, and not even kidding, Michael was having his youngest, Chase, and he was literally had the baby that day, and he's on the phone with me that afternoon. Hey, I just had my third son. But
Chase Michael
being Mike, if you know Michael, the kind of guy he is, we're gonna hire you, buddy. So we'll
we got you. Yeah, we got you.
We'll just get this done. I had no idea, so I
can see that. I can totally
hop in the car, drive to Louisville. I had a Toyota Camry at the time, packed to the gills I was driving up from Greensboro with all this nonsense in it. Get up, and my first day of work, I literally am driving onto campus, and they're pulling the Papa John's sign off the stadium.
You're like, oh,
and
shit.
My dad's like, yo, did you see this?
Rough start.
Hey, good luck. So,
you sure you want to go there?
And sure enough, dude, we've figured it out. Louisville Athletics is continuing to be on they're on the upward trend, and everything that we said we were going to do 8 or 9 years ago, we've done.
Yeah.
We've invested in winning. We found ways to get creative. There's an entrepreneurial twist to what we do, because at the end of the day, college sports, man, every department in the country is there's a lot of stagnant situations out there.
Oh yeah.
And Louisville wants to be on the forefront of those. They want to be cutting edge, innovative, and we've been especially lucky over the last 3 or 4 years while NIL has been kicking. Josh Hurd has done an unbelievable job of letting us do our thing. He's like, hey man, you guys, you'll figure it out. Go get it. Go be aggressive. Go try it. And quite frankly, that's why we're winning. You know, when Scott Satterfield was here, we went out. We had, I think at one point, we had the #1 football recruiting class in the country. And before that, I don't know, we'd been in the top 35, 40.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
very rare that ever in the top 20.
So when NIL started, I transitioned. I was working in fundraising, was working in the Cardinal Athletic Fund, and it started to get to the point where it was a little gray. You know, I'm like having conversations with athletes. I'm having conversations with donors. We're trying to find ways to get them deals. And I'll never forget, like I get asked, I'm like officially starting to be I'm on my way out, basically, to go run the NIL Collective, which turned out to be 502 Circle. Mark Spiegel hired me to do that as the president probably 3 or 4 years ago. And I'm sitting there at my desk, and Josh like walks into my office, and he's like, "Yeah, man." He's like, "I heard about your morning." I'm like, "Did you?" You know, and the long story short, had a donor who wanted to give $10,000 to a specific athlete. We needed something for the athlete to do. So in order to receive the cash, we had to have him do something. So we had him go down into Nulu and take some pictures on the front of a Maserati to use in like a recruiting deck. You know, some of it's a facade, right?
Yeah.
Paint the facade and tell people how cool the city of Louisville is and the things that it offers. Because we are the pro team here, right? Like Louisville sports has the opportunity to play at such a magnitude that its athletes become pro athletes. They're the center of attention. And for better or for worse, for some of our coaches, like they take the heat when it's going bad and they get the glory when it's going good.
Yeah.
And our athletes are in the same boat. So, you know, Josh is like, "Hey man, I think it's time you got to get out of here. If you're going to go do that, you got to go do that and go run the collective." So, you know, kudos to what they've done on the administrative side to really get out in front of NIL and put themselves in a spot where they have a lot of success. But ultimately, man, that's kind of where it got us to where we are today.
Yeah.
And it used to be $10,000 in a Ziploc bag of cash, and now it's like, I mean, it is insane. Some of the numbers that are getting tossed around, but athletes deserve to get paid, man. They, especially on the football and basketball side, you know, like they're a huge economic driver for the city. And it's been fun to watch that continue to develop and position themselves.
Realizing actually you're a decision maker here in this process. Like you are.
Yeah, I don't know if that's good.
Well, I mean, so and let's talk. You know, let's tell the audience here. I mean, so I was posing. I was like, how much influence or how much decision making do you have when signing a player? And you're kind of like, a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the conversation stems from, okay, so here we are. You know, Jeff, we got football portal coming up. We need 25 kids. What's your plan? How does that work? How are you working with Jeff? What is your team doing? Creating values for players, knowing how much money you're working with and building that roster out. How does that work and what's that look like?
Yeah, it's a really complicated process because it moves so fast. Like when you're in the portal, the one thing that not a lot of people recognize about college sports is there's no, like when you're in the middle of a pro negotiation, there's a market value. In college sports, the market's always moving. So there's no like set numbers. You could go into the portal and last year a quarterback could have been $1 million, now it's $2 million, right? So like you're always trying to feel out where the market is, where other players are, where agents are pricing guys, and then ultimately what fits your roster the best or what deals you can get to really get give your roster an advantage. So we do a lot of homework. Like we run a lot of data. We use a couple companies that give us a rough ballpark on player estimates. Basically a starting defensive tackle for a top 25 team who's going to be a premier starter, all conference guy, all those types of things. And we can run those different models to give us an idea of what we should be paying or what range we should be paying with it.
Crazy.
And if we're on the bottom end of that, we're going to see a real ROI on the player, right? So we're always trying to be at the bottom. Now there's times where I see players where I'm like, dude, this guy's going to outperform this number. Like right now he's a premier starter, but I think he could be an all-conference guy, right? And I'm sitting there going, okay, you know, Vince and I on the football side, Vince Mara, who's been awesome for us, came in like
big dog,
completely flipped up like some of the guys we're recruiting, the way we're recruiting, all those things. Yeah, he does a great job. Just a grinder, like seasoned hustler. I say he's a gangster. You know, like
He kind of,
and we needed some of that.
Right,
You know, like some of
yeah.
that confidence. Like, hey, we're gonna recruit the best players in the state, best players in the region, and we're gonna get after it. So him and I have built a really cool relationship. And Jeff's son Brady, and like we got a really good group, man. And then we take their recruiting concept, and then we front office style all of the players, all the conversations, all the negotiations. And Josh hired Andrew Brandt on the consulting side. Andrew was with the Packers for years. So like we basically, what will happen is once we feel out players, right, and we think they're a certain level, some guys may eliminate themselves right away because they're being priced out like an all-conference guy, and we think they're just a quality starter. Or some guys that are quality starters, and we just think they're depth pieces, right? Like, so it all depends on the position, the timing in the market, all those type of things. If we're really desperate, you know, like sometimes you put yourself in a jam where you got to get a little creative, and you need a defensive tackle. So you got to go. You got to go get somebody, and you may have to overpay a little bit to get a guy, but you got to make up that difference somewhere else in the roster. So we always say, and our group, from a front office standpoint, that includes legal counsel from U of L, Shannon Pipes, and Andrew Brandt, Dudas, and Josh, all those guys. Like, we do a phenomenal job of looking at it big picture. If you try and look at all these things in a vacuum and you say, well, we overpaid for that guy, you'll drive yourself crazy. Or we underpaid for this guy. You know, so like when you really look at the whole roster, everything has to add up. And if you spent X amount of dollars on the roster, you expect to win X amount of games. The production is expected to look a certain way. And I think Coach Brown and Coach Kelsey are pretty aware of those expectations. Josh does a good job of laying those out ahead of time based on the roster spent. But we're in the trenches. Like, it is 14 to 18 days of chaos. But the work that goes in before that is nuts. A lot of this stuff, like, you are. Like, you're sitting in Jeff's basement on New Year's Day trying to figure this thing out. And you're just trying to figure it out. Well, I heard that guy's leaving now. Well, good. Tell him to leave because that number was too high anyway. You know? Yeah, so it's there are real conversations happening all the time. And then Pat's different. Pat and Jeff are different. Jeff's very much of like, hey man, let these guys rock. Pat's very much like top down on it when it comes to his program. He wants to run it. He wants to operate it. Wants to be in tune, wants to know what's going on. Football is also a different beast. Basketball, you're recruiting 12 players. You need to know who those guys are. Like, it's not just they're not just performing. Football is a little different. Like, we've got really 60 new contracts in like 30 days, right? So you need to be able to understand who they are as a player and all that stuff, and then you got to gel the personalities. You got to find a way to like build a roster, build a team, and make it all work once they get here. In basketball, you're fitting those 12 guys into certain slots, certain personalities, alphas, non-alphas, like all those different things you're looking at before you even take a guy because there's only 12 slots. So they're two totally different environments, and that's why like I'm really fortunate. A lot of schools you just do one sport, dude. I would be bored. Like, I'd be bored.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does it sound cool sometimes? Where I'm like, dude, I can't believe my wife said last night. She was like, are we in Portal Cycle again? Like, you're on the phone late night, every night. She's like, why does it happen like every 3 months? I was like, I don't know. I think it's never ending. Right?
Yeah.
So right now you roll out of the football cycle and you're right back into basketball. Fortunately, they saved us this year in football. We don't have a second cycle, which I thought was one of the most ridiculous things of all time. Is you would basically build your team in January, then they'd open the portal again in April for you to lose your team or have to rebuild. So like that was just chaos. Totally like just a poor structure.
Real quick before you move on, you just said something about the portal.
Yeah.
Do we need to move the portal 2 or 3 weeks back?
I think you would move it to the day after the championship game.
Yes.
But I don't know if you necessarily move it back. I think you need to move the season up.
Okay.
Because you got to deal with academic schedules.
Yeah.
Got to get these kids to campus, man. Like, whatever, like, you can tell me what you want, but they don't need to be missing 3 weeks of a class.
Right.
Like, if we're going to do the academics thing, let's do it.
Yeah.
Right? So I would move the season up a week and play the week 1 games in week 0. And then move week 0 another week up. If you want to go play a game in Ireland, you want to go do whatever you want to do, go ahead. But let's move everything up a week. Move the national championship game up a week and condense it a little bit. And then the day the championship ends, you have 7 days to enter your name. 7 days. Like, we don't need 2 weeks. They know they're going in. Like a player knows he's going in the portal before the portal opens. You can't convince me otherwise.
No, for sure.
Unless something crazy happens, they'll be able to figure it out within those 7 days. And those 7 days need to be done. I'm a big believer in like they should restrict visits. Like if you're an NFL free agent, you don't visit all 32 teams.
Right.
Like you should have a real. They should have a real structure around. Okay.
Like
I don't know if
5.
it's 3. I don't know if it's 5.
Yeah.
However you want to do it, I don't care. I would prefer it's 3 in that period because they're already narrowed down. And then it's like 3, and you can be granted 2 more if you have emergency visits. Like you go to those 3 visits, nothing makes sense, and then hey, or I went here and I thought they were going to offer me this, then they lowballed me. I need 2 more visits. Fine, but we shouldn't be dragging these things out. These are 18 to 22-year-old kids. With the money that we're talking about, they're adults.
They are adults.
Let's make quick decisions. Let's be efficient. We don't need to take photos at 8 different schools and post them on our Instagram. Like this is a business.
Yeah.
Let's operate like it is. And there's a lot of money involved. And if somebody offers you $1 million, they shouldn't have to wait 15 days for you to make a decision.
Right.
Right.
Well, and last year I feel like there was a quarterback who was in the portal. I can't think. I'm just going to give you a scenario, but talk about values.
Yeah.
There was a guy last year I feel like was transferring. He ended up missing out on one place. He ended up on like his 3rd or 4th choice. And some value-wise, how often do you see that where players aren't getting the advice that they need? Hey,
No doubt.
you get offered $1 million or $2 million, take it. Don't wait for the place that you think you're going to get 2.5 and you end up back at $1 million.
College sports is in dire need of good representation, right? And I think that it's becoming more and more sophisticated, but over the last 3 or 4 years, these guys, man, it's been sad.
Like on the agency side.
Yeah, I mean,
some of the deals that I've read stories about, like, I mean, it reminds me of like music artists that are in like 360 deals, like where it's like it really doesn't do that much for the kid, but the person who's representing them, I mean, is essentially stealing.
Yeah, I mean, on the team side, I've negotiated against agencies, right? That some of these are the biggest agencies in the game, or saying they are, and they don't push back on the price you give them. So you tell them a player, hey, we're going to offer $100,000. They'll be like, all right, cool. I'm going to take it to my client. Send us the contract. Within 15 minutes, it's signed. I'm like, bro, nobody even read this. And they're taking 20, 25%. I'm like, dude, something needs to change. So I've got some unique ways that I want to be able to impact that space.
Is that normal? Is that what the agents are taking right now in some of these deals?
Some of them, it's starting to creep down a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, just
Tough.
That is.
It's not, unless you're providing a ton of back end resources for an athlete.
right.
There's no possible way that adds up.
It doesn't.
I'm a big believer. Well, and look, there are times where I could be like, okay, well, they're getting a lot out of this. You're managing their social media.
Correct.
They're also getting brand deals and whatever it might be.
Providing a service.
Right? There are real services. You're setting up LLCs,
Yeah.
managing businesses for them. There's other things that could go into that if the percentage is a little bit higher. But if you're simply just negotiating a contract,
That's it.
and it's 15 to 20%, we have other.
That's trouble.
That's trouble.
That's trouble.
It's not fair to the athlete.
Well, I mean, that's not even counting Uncle Sam that's coming back in as well, right? And the kid's not even
The
thinking
kids have no clue.
The kid has no clue what that even means, depending on hopefully that representation is going to be there to support and guide them as that. I mean, yeah, as you said, 20, 25%, great if they're doing all of that. It's worth it because they need it. They don't, I mean, let's be honest. Would I be fair in assuming 90% of kids wouldn't know how to manage all of that on their own? I mean,
No, they wouldn't. But I've heard stories, like I've had agents tell me, like, well, 5% is not even worth my time because, like, they may get a DUI and then I have to deal with it. Well, bro, that's part of
your job.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the hard part right now is you're just dealing with a lot of agencies that want to do the least amount of work for the most amount of money, and that's any business.
I feel like that's always early.
Good ones.
Early in those types of when there's that much money in one place, especially when there's no guardrails, those types of personalities are very quick.
Oh yeah.
To move into that like any type of space like that while they can, because they know eventually,
No question.
it's either market becomes more competitive because there's more people doing
It's
it.
gotten a lot better. Like, there are a lot of football and basketball agents out there that I love working with. Like, man, they're efficient, they're quick, they're responsive, they're transparent, and they do a great job for their clients. And they honestly, those are the guys that get their clients paid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're efficient and they're just telling me the truth, right? And I love that. I think that that's a real way of
Yeah.
doing business. And I think it should be more and more consistent throughout the space. But unfortunately, like you are getting the low capacity individuals jumping in that didn't have success in the NBA, didn't have success in the NFL, posting pictures of themselves on, I don't know whose jet they're riding, but like that really is what's attracting young kids.
Yeah.
And
Optics.
some of it's
God.
sad, man.
Optics,
some of it's
man.
sad. And I just wish sometimes guys would ask, hey, what do you think of this guy? I would just be like, I'm not going to badmouth anybody. I'm not gonna negatively recruit it on anybody. Like I would basically just say like, hey, listen, have you talked to this guy?
Yeah.
Have you talked to this guy? Have you talked to that guy? Have you talked to this guy?
Lead them.
We do the same thing with real estate agents. I mean,
absolutely.
that's very similar. How many students, how many kids are represented? Is it the majority?
I would say now it's like 90%.
Is it really?
Yeah, which is crazy.
That is wild.
And the industry.
I'm surprised there's not more parent. That shocks me. I figured there would be way more parents trying to run that show than letting an agent come in there. That's just I was guessing.
There is still some of that too.
Yeah, I was about to
I'm just
say.
talking crazy. We all know crazy
No.
parents. Crazy
The
parents.
first one to say this, and look, there are some situations are different than others. That could be one of the most detrimental situations for an athlete.
The parents.
Is parents managing their financial.
Oh, absolutely. It's off train wreck.
A lot of times, and I hate to be like this, and I'm just gonna say this out loud, and I hope some of my followers, some of your followers, like hear this deep. It's really hard for a player, an athlete who is on campus, living on campus, getting their dorm paid for, getting 3 meals a day paid for, getting everything that they could possibly imagine paid for, and they're at the facility all day. Really hard for somebody to burn through $40,000 a month. They're not. Athlete can't do it. They couldn't do it if they tried. They don't know where to spend it,
Right.
or what to spend it on. Sure. And I come back and hear that guys have zero, like nothing left.
We've seen it on the pro side.
It's sad. A 18 to 22-year-old kid who literally is at home long enough to play a couple video games until midnight and go to bed and wake up at 6 a.m., be back at it again. They don't have the time or the ability or the knowledge. Most of them. Now, there are some unique
Right, I was going to say.
but most of them
Jewelry.
don't have the ability to spend that kind of money. And it's sad to watch them blow through that because I know what it could do for them long term.
Yeah.
Like if they would just put some of it away. But it's not being, a lot of times it's being spent by their parents. I always hear like you got to put your, how like if a plane's going down, they tell you to put your own.
Put your mask on first.
That's what a lot of guys, if they come to me, I'm just telling them like, hey man, listen, this is what you need to do. I know you need to take care of people. I'm not stupid. I'm not naive, but we need to put a limit to that. And I've heard of NBA players. I was in a situation about 6 months ago where an NBA player was coming in asking for advice on the marketing side, asking they need new representation. They've made $62 million. They are dead broke. They have no money. You know how much money? Like multiple family members on $50,000+ a month stipends. Like
A month?
A month, $150,000 in monthly stipends to a mom, a dad, and a girlfriend, whatever we call it. So it's real, but we need to educate them, and that's what we try and do on the front end. Make sure they're educated going in. Any clients or athletes that I work with.
Kyle and I talked about starting a business literally just centered around like educating on the finance side of like how to protect themselves from that, and just tell them, look, like you can still help them. It just, you have to build this base first before, where that money's generating so much money that like you basically couldn't outspend it.
And listen, the parents have lived like that long. They've lived that way for a while. They can go a few more years.
Well, but dude,
they can go a few more years without having to be taken care of immediately.
Think about this.
You got like the one thing that I've realized though, and I have really learned this over the last couple of years, is that mentality is what's so hard about it. Like it's really hard, and they get.
Of course it is.
They get pressured. You're almost like looked at. Okay, like you're the guy that made it out, and all your buddies have
you gotta pull us all out.
I can't imagine.
And I, you know what? Like I appreciate that. Like, and I appreciate that type of mentality. I'm the same way. Like I don't, blue collar background. Never wanted for anything though. Like my parents worked their tail off for everything we had, and like to be honest, any chance I could get to help them or help my brothers or do whatever, I want to be the first one in line to do it. But it also just has to be structured. It has to be. You got to.
Well, that's the difference. Is that I would 100%. We all very similar backgrounds, all of us here. Yeah. I mean, completely. And yeah, I'd love to help anybody, friends, people that I love.
But that mask analogy is perfect.
Not at any expense as well, right? And I'm smart enough to know
that mask analogy is perfect because if I don't have my house in order, like how am I supposed to, like I can't breathe yet. Like I'm still trying to like climb to a spot where like I can take a breath.
Let me get the proper altitude.
Yeah, like build the base, like I said, first, so it's built on the right foundation. Then you can do it. But even that, it's like that those people go from, you know, maybe making a couple grand a month to 50. Like you could have gave them 5 and they, in their head, they're rich.
Loaded.
Right? So like the fact that they get to like 30, 40, 50, I just can't.
Sure, getting it.
That's
happening.
I just can't understand that. Like multiple people.
I'm curious. Tampering. How real is tampering right now? Like, is that a problem?
It's definitely a problem, but like people also need to we need to grow up a little bit. Too. You know, like at the end of the industry is the industry.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't be telling me that you don't like tampering when you're tampering. You know what I mean? Like,
You just didn't win that one.
We all need to have a real conversation with ourselves, look in the mirror and say like, big dog, like you've been doing this thing for years, right? Like, and now you're going to start going on Twitter, like tampering's out of control. Like, come on.
You were giving money bags before it was legal.
Just because you're doing it through an agent and that guy just said, heck with it, I'm going right to the athlete. Like, there's really no difference, man. So like, let's call it what it is. Like if you're tampering, you're tampering. Don't sit here and tell me you haven't been getting a recruiting advantage 10 years while your team won championship after championship.
Right.
And now we're going to sit here and be like, oh, well, you're in the wrong. You're tampering.
Yeah.
Nah, come on, bro. Like, you know, and that's the hard part about college football and college basketball right now is like there's all this public complaining, but nobody's addressing what they're doing. Like we talk about these G Leaguers coming back to play basketball. The people complaining about it were the ones who started it. They're the first ones to do it. Like you think, like I'm not calling anybody out, but go look at Michigan State's rosters. Like he was the first one.
Oh, he was on there. Izzo was on there quick.
Come on, like,
he was.
You know,
he's like, I just can't believe this. These guys.
And some people are like, well, why are we bringing all these international players over to play in the States? We're taking opportunity. You literally started it, bro. Like you've been doing this for years now. Everybody is doing it, and now you want everybody to stop all of a sudden.
Right.
Like, come on. You know, and that's where I think the self-preservation concept in college sports has been so rampant that nobody's having real conversations about the change that's needed because ultimately with change comes change in leadership.
Yeah.
Well, the portal, real quick, one more question because I don't understand this. Contact, do not contact. What does that mean?
It's just a button you click on on the website when you insert your name. Like at the end of the day, agents are controlling a lot of these processes, right? So if an athlete's hitting the portal, if you go on like Pete Nako's Twitter, it says, you know, Chase Callahan at Excel Sports tells Pete Nakos that so-and-so is entering the portal. Well, in order for you if you put a do not contact tag, that means somebody technically talked to Chase to get that kid in the portal or talked to this agent to get that kid in the portal. What winds up happening in that situation is, okay, Ole Miss thought they had the guy because they've been having this conversation with an agent. Well, then that agent's then calling Ole Miss like, look, bro, once he hit the portal, I know it said do not contact, but now I got another offer for $500,000 more. So you're either going to have to come up to our offer or we're going to go ahead and entertain this one over you guys. And then it just becomes like a bidding war, the stair step. It starts going up and up and up. So there's some strategy behind it for agents, you know, but it's not, they say do not contact. A lot of times, like you do not contact the kid. And I don't reach out directly to players most of the time anyway. Like we're just dealing with agents across the board because quite frankly, dealing with kids, dealing with the players directly is kind of a
sounds like it'd be a challenge.
Dealing with some agents is bad too. But when you really dive into it, you're dealing with an athlete. Man, you'll like cut a deal, you'll sign a deal on paper, and then 2 days later, he's like, "Hey, man, I think we need to renegotiate." It's like, bro, listen.
That's
like,
is this after they already signed?
2 days later, or that night. Like, hey, I've rethought things. Can you just go ahead and
because they don't know.
They don't understand that it's a legal agreement.
Unfortunately, right? And I hate to say this, but I'm gonna say it. Like when you're on the team side, you're either on the team side or you're not. Right. So when you're working on behalf of the team, Your objective is to max the gross on every player that walks through that door. Capiche? Like, that's it. End of story. You have to get the best price on every player that you possibly can that comes through that door. Now, when you're on the player side and you're an agent, the objective is to get the most money for every player that you let walk through that door.
Sure.
So they're doing their job. The team's got to do theirs. And sometimes agents are like, this kid didn't have an agent. You should have never done a deal with him. Bro, my job is to get the best price on every player that walks through that door. So just like I expect you to come in and get the best price on the player you're representing, you have to expect the team side to want to get the best number for every player that walks through the door. And that's why you see a lot of players like in college sports now, they'll sign an agent after their exit meeting. Like they won't have an agent going in, and then they'll sit down with their coach at UC Riverside, and somebody will say, hey man, we're going to offer you $25,000. And then they walk out of there and they're calling their agent. They're calling some guy like, hey, will you represent me? This is crazy. Like it is. Yeah. But it's a reality. Kids a lot of times are like, well, I want to have the conversation first and see if I like the number. Agents get fired, 10 days in because you wind up with a player who likes the offer the school gave him. Now he wants to do it himself, so he doesn't have to pay a percentage. So there's a lot of moving parts. There's not a lot of stability in any of it right now. But ultimately, the space is getting more and more mature.
Yeah.
I just hope that the right people, are part
get involved.
Well, kudos. So being a Louisville guy, I want to talk about you lose Isaac Brown.
That's weird.
You gotta go there.
Literally getting ready to ask about that.
Yeah, go ahead. No.
Well, no, I mean, you lose him. I was literally getting ready to ask you, how many hours did you invest?
But not just lost him to Texas.
No.
I mean,
I was. This
is huge. Absolutely.
A lot of really good relationships.
By the way, good job.
Yeah, kudos.
Hey, not just me, man.
Hold on. You're the closest one to me.
Yeah,
with the unit. I'm sure it was.
Yeah, team effort, and that's why, like when Vince and Jeff, when these guys are building relationships with these guys, they try and make sure they're authentic, right? And in this situation, this staff knows Isaac. They know what he's good at. They know what he's not good at. And I always argue if you're transferring in a draft year, unless you're leaving a bad situation, like you're a bad team or whatever, you're out of your mind because you don't want to go into a new situation, have to learn a new offense, learn a new weight program. We don't know how that's going to impact your body. You may get hurt. Just don't mess with good, right? Try and get great. And that's what Isaac ultimately, with the numbers that were being thrown at him, you have to listen. You have to listen. And I said to his agent, bro, I get it. I know where you're at. I'm cool with that. Just know where we're at. And if that makes sense for Isaac to be at Louisville at that price and at that number, then it makes sense. And dude, he's getting taken care of. Like Isaac is a dude.
He's doing
potential
okay.
Heisman. Yeah. This is a guy.
It was a massive,
and we
massive haul.
Our donors stepped up, our administration stepped up because of the value he brings to the program. And when we were able to go back to the table to get that one done, it was a good feeling. I think that was a point where everybody in the room decided like we're going to go in on football, and that's a cool thing for our city. It's a cool thing for the program. I'm like, hey, we're not going to we're going to be smart about this, but we're going to go in and try and win in football. And I think that Jeff can be happy about that, proud of that, because he built that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I don't know if that was the same case scenario 4 years ago when he got here, 3 years ago when he got here, and now I think everybody is. That set the tone for the class that we built. And when you go look, pull it up if you can, like the on-3 rankings. I mean, you look at the teams that we're in that category with, and you don't get on 3. It's they calculate players you have coming in as well as players you retain or players you lose. So it's a full calculation of like how your roster panned out in the portal, which I like. I want that full calculation of like what this looks like. And it's like Texas Tech, Indiana, Ohio State, like all of the big programs,
big football programs,
oil money, like real, and then it's Louisville right there. In the middle.
That's crazy. I didn't realize that.
And those are programs that are going to spend 15 to 20 million more on their roster.
Here you go. Indiana, Texas Tech, A&M, LSU, Louisville.
Wow.
And LSU has the state of Louisiana behind them.
Yeah, I was going to say.
$42 million.
$40 million is nuts.
This is what everybody's saying. It may be more than that.
Indiana's got
some dudes running around down there.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I think Louisville fans and Louisville community can be proud of is the way that it's built, and it's not a just throwing money around. It's strategic. It's cohesive. It's a mix of retaining really high level talent that we bring in early and adding really high level talent that can help us win games at a championship level. And it's really cool to see that all come together.
Yeah.
All said and done. That's why I like the on-3 ranking, because it talks about both.
Yeah.
It's not just 2-4-7 where it's like, who'd you bring in?
Yeah.
It's not about who you brought in. It's about who you brought in, who you retained. It's both. Like, you have to be able to do both at a really elite level to win in college football now. And that's why Indiana is at number 1, because they don't lose anybody, because people want to play there. They want to play for him, play for Signetti. They just won a championship. And they're still able to add complementary pieces that are going to push them over the top, so that next year when we're talking about them, there's no fall off, right? So
they also have top-notch facilities there too, which I think makes a huge difference.
It's a sweet environment.
Like, it's nice.
They do a good
like,
job.
yeah.
Well, and you talk about a dude that he smokes cigs and he drinks Miller Lite, right? Isn't that Signetti?
No.
Yeah, he drinks Miller Lite after
he
the
likes
game.
beer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he loves a good cold beer after a win.
Signetti's a dog.
My uncle, big Italian guy, has a shirt, and it's the Marlboro logo. It says Signetti.
Oh, does he really?
And he wears it all the time. Every Saturday he's got the shirt, the white shirt, says Signetti across the top.
That's awesome.
The Marlboro logo.
I want to pivot one other thing. Big talk. High school. Yeah. So how are you? Because we talked on you were you have the team and you guys are assessing values and agents and this. Man, high school kids, like I know the top high school kids are still getting taken care of.
Sure.
Of course, Michaels and the Boozers and stuff like that. They're still going to get theirs. How do you see it impacting like football? I mean, like football's all these kids, there's only so many 5-star kids, and then you got 3 and 4-star. So what is, from your opinion, on how this affects high school kids moving forward with money? But how's it also work into your all's plan on, we got this much carved out for a couple of high school kids, or how does that work? Or like, where's that?
Yeah, and it depends on the school, but ultimately a lot of schools do invest really heavy on the freshman side.
Okay.
And when you look at the recruiting rankings, you see these guys that are, you look at Notre Dame, you look at Oklahoma, you look at Texas, Miami. They invest really heavy in bringing those guys in early. Majority of players in college football now do transfer at least once. So I'm a big believer in, like, okay, if you're going to bring them in, don't overpay them in year 1 if they're not going to play, because it's a waste of money. And I hate to, you hate to be like that. But when you're really looking at players as freshmen who are going to be compensated at a high level, it has to make sense in year 1. So when you look at your big board and you look at the roster and you go, okay, down the line, QB1, QB2, QB3, RB1, 2, 3, 4, wide receiver 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, they have to fit a slot somewhere. And if you're going to pay $400,000 or $500,000 for a high school kid, they have to be able to come in and compete right away for wide receiver slot 2, 3, 4, right? So if you spend it in high school, you're not going to have it in the portal.
Right.
So they have to be able to come in and impact it right away. You don't just bring a high school kid in and then go, all right, well, we're going to add in more money now in the portal and go get another guy and recruit over him, because a lot of these guys, the one thing about college football is they want to play. And it's the same way in college basketball. If you look at what Mike Kell's done, Darren Peterson, AJ DeBonsta, those guys want to be centerpieces right away. So when you invest that type of money into them, you want to make sure that they're ready to go day 1. There's no wait period anymore. Because the money's so big, they have to be able to come in and impact your roster right away. And if they can't, then financially it doesn't make any sense. So you have to have a plan. You have to have a process in place. And on the Louisville side, like, phenomenal job, like, of the alignment. We don't want to. We build in the portal. We retain guys really well. We like to take guys who are a year in at Florida Atlantic, or a year in somewhere else, and you know what you're buying. You know what you're getting. You look at a Clev who performed at an elite level at Coastal, and then comes to Louisville and can be an elite guy from day 1.
Elite.
That you're okay investing that, because you know it's going to have a positive ROI on your roster. And ultimately, that's what you have to try and figure out. You have to try and pick a few here and there that really make sense, and then figure out what type of depth you need.
Yeah.
And that's where you're bringing in a lot of freshmen who are going to provide some of that depth, and you want them to come in and play right away. They may not necessarily get paid like they're one of those high 4 and 5 stars, but we feel like, okay, in a year from now, when they get here in January, they have 9 months, right? You have 9 months to get them ready to play come September, October, November, December. Are they going to be ready by then or by the middle of the season to provide us solid depth down the stretch? And that's when you're looking at the price going, all right, this makes sense. So it's a complex process, and everything comes with constant conversation and communication. But it's definitely becoming more and more. They're fewer and farther between on these freshmen that are coming in and getting paid like that, because teams are realizing that they can go get elite talent in the portal for those prices that are going to be physically ready to go on day one.
Would you say most of those kids that are freshmen, even if they're not going to be that 3, 4, 5 receiver, they get some NIL if they're a scholarship guy?
Most schools, some. There are a lot of schools in different situations though. Like Louisville has to punch above their weight a little bit, so it's not always. You may just be on scholarship in year one. Then year two, you transit. If you perform, you turn into an NIL guy, and I think that goes for a lot of schools in our situation are doing that. Now Miami, they don't care. They just every next guy. It's just like a slot for freshmen. Oklahoma's similar. Texas. If you go in there as a freshman, sometimes like if they transfer to Louisville, you're like looking at them like, well, hold on, man. Hold on.
I know you got paid last year, but you didn't perform.
We know what you got. That is not going to be the situation. Right? So
let's be upfront about this.
Yeah. And we're just transparent about it up front. And ultimately, guys really not want the opportunity. I want to come in. I want to play. I want to be a part of a team that's got a chance to win a championship, and I want to be on the field doing it.
Yeah,
which is cool.
Yeah.
Well, and people talk, and you said this earlier, like they like to point out the negatives, but one of the positives, I saw this yesterday, maybe the day before, guys like Diabonta and Peterson wanting to come back, which is good for the game, right? Because those guys traditionally would have been they're gone. Like they're, same with Boozer, same with Michael Brown. So I think it is cool too to like hopefully be able to see some of these guys continue to stay in that world longer and get to see them play like at a really high level, because they're freshmen doing crazy things. Like get them into their sophomore, junior season. It's like it's cool in that way because I think it's bringing back more of the like want to play college basketball. Like because those types of guys, it's always how quick can I get in and out into the draft and how high can I get drafted. That was really the only like avenue that made sense as far as making money. So now that they have these schools that can pay them $3, $4, $5 million, whatever it is, maybe I know this, like you said, I know the system, I know the coaches, I know the facilities, I know how to play here. I'm very comfortable here, and I'm making NBA money. Like, so it was cool because both of them just said that. I think over the weekend, like they're thinking they're probably going to stay one more year. They didn't guarantee, but they were just like, I'm thinking I might, like, I think it was Peterson that said, I think I want to run it back one more year. I think was his exact words.
I'll be interested. So. I mean, those guys are a different level, but I go back to the Hadley conversation. I mean, he could have went and played overseas immediately.
Yeah.
And, I mean, without a shadow of a doubt, he choked, but he's getting taken care of and he likes the environment. I mean, so I truly, that's why I love the NIL. I think you got guys like that. You'll have a fringe first rounders, second rounders. Listen, I might be a second round pick. I love where I'm at. They're paying me good. School's good. I eat good.
Quite frankly, the
women.
Yeah, you make more.
The women are pretty here.
Hey, and you're the guy. You're not going on an NBA roster with probably at any capacity where you're the guy.
You're gonna make more money than being an NBA two-way.
Right.
No question. You're gonna make more money than you are overseas. I almost see it as like the NBA now is obviously still that elite factor, and then Power Forward is number 2.
I agree.
Yeah,
I
for sure.
EuroLeague. That's why all these EuroLeague guys are talking.
They're coming here
to play college. Try and play 4-year college and get 2 years of eligibility because they're going to go somewhere and make 7 figures per year.
Yep.
The other piece of it, I was telling this story the other day because AJ is Diabonta.
Oh, I mean, he's
so fun to watch.
Unbelievable.
Kim, there's a group this class, this freshman.
Caleb Wilson. I mean, God,
it is elite. It's one of the best classes in a long
ever.
time.
Yeah, ever. One of the best ones ever. And a couple years ago when Pat had first got the job, man, we were humming. While he was like doing his press conference downstairs, like we were on the phone with Cloman and Carr and like all trying to. This was like in the height of the NIL era, man. So like we were on the phone like trying to figure this thing out. Pat's like doing his whole thing. He's up on stage, and we're like trying to dial in on who's next. And I'm like trying to go through like players, and those guys, man, like when they got here from Charleston originally, man, they were different dudes. Like and they still are. Like I love those guys to death. And one of the things, like I'm trying to talk about basketball, and they're like, "Tell me about your family. Tell me about like who you are." Like nothing about basketball.
Yeah.
And I'm like, guys, like we got to go get 12 dudes in like the next 10 days. Like we'll worry about my family. Like we'll all talk about our families when this is done. But it's just like a testament to who they are. But it's probably 2 nights in to the Pat Kelsey tenure. And Pat calls me and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" I'm like, and I have the flu. Like I'm dead sick. We've been already doing this for, obviously going through the coaching search was crazy. And then so we're answering phone calls from agents and we're trying to get players in the hopper to make sure that when he gets here, we basically have like a bucket of guys for him to figure this out. And man, I will never forget this. I'm like, I'm like, "Yeah, man, I'm good. What's going on?" You know, like, "Well, what do you got?" He's like, "Well, I need you to go to Portland." I'm like thinking to myself, like, "All right, yeah, Portland, Louisville, you know, like it maybe needs like, what do you need in Portland? A speaking arrangement or something?" And he's like, "There's a flight out tonight in like 2 hours if you could still get to the airport." So I like hop on a flight to Portland, Oregon, fly through the night, get to Portland like late night, stay the night. Next day, I'm sick as a dog, and I go to the Nike Hoop Summit out in Portland, and it was in that game. It was nuts. It was like DeBonsta, Maluash, like all these dudes who wound up being first round picks in the NBA draft. And I'm sitting. I got Brad Stevens like on my right, Andrew Slater, who's now the GM at NC State, and there were other NBA scouts sitting behind me. And I'm just sitting there. You know, I'm like, we're really like, quite frankly, we were pretty new to basketball at that point. The prior 2 years, we didn't do a whole lot of basketball, but we're sitting there and DeBonsta like pulls up in transition, like hits a 3, and I'm like, "Man, that was smooth." Like that dude's probably 6'7", 6'8", and I'm like seeing what it looks like now. I'm like, there's no reason. I'm looking at the list. Louisville's nowhere to be found. I like leaned over to Slater. Now it's funny. He'll probably remember this. I leaned over. I was like, "This is the last year that like Louisville won't have their name on the right side of this list. You know, like we're going to be on here every year. We're going to wear you guys out." And so sure enough, DeBonsta, like the next play, comes down the middle of the lane and goes like full from the free throw line, it felt like, and slams on Maluash, who's going to Duke, who played last year, first round pick. And I'm like, "Golly, who is this dude? Like who?" And it's AJ DeBonsta. And so one of the scouts behind me stands up. He goes, "I've never been so sure somebody's a franchise player." And I was like, "Yeah, dude, there's no question about that." But that was VJ Edgecombe was in that game. Jaden Quaintance played in the game before. There were dudes everywhere flying around, like dudes, and you could tell it was like an NBA pace. They're playing it like an NBA pace. The court like almost wasn't big enough. Guys were flying up and down the floor, dunking, alley-oops. I was like, "Man, this is unbelievable." And then like you see what Michael has done, like the progression that he's one of those dudes.
He's a dude.
You see that elite talent, like that burst that he has is just different. Like those guys, and as this continues to grow and Louisville basketball continues to get higher and higher on the recruiting ranking from a basketball standpoint, you're going to see more of those guys come through here.
Yeah.
But it's amazing, like the elite talent on the basketball side that it takes to compete at that upper echelon. It's impressive.
Awesome.
You have to be able to sustain it and have like 3 or 4 of those guys. Like,
No
look
doubt.
at that Houston team. That's a bunch of grown men.
They're literally grown men. Yeah.
Grown men. I mean, same with Kansas, bunch of grown men. And it's even in our league. Look at Duke, man. Maybe they're young a little bit, but that's a bunch of grown men.
Dude.
Losers. He's
Last year, how about
They're
last
monsters.
year? This year's team is really good, but think about last year's team. The Duke team we played in
Knipple
played in the
is-
championship. Kahn, Cooper Flag.
Oh, dude,
Maluash.
Cooper Flag, yeah.
I mean, and who's the kid that transferred in there from Tulane?
drawing a blank.
Stud. Like they had dudes on that roster that were absolute dominant NBA guys.
Yeah.
And it's just cool to watch what the expectation, the level of success needs to be to win at that level.
Yeah, it's wild.
So let's talk real quick. Let's talk a little bit more about your exposure, social media, Floyd Street Media. I mean, a little bit about what you got going on. 19,600 followers on Instagram I saw today. So We're gonna try to get him to 20,000. If you're watching, go follow my boy here. But
20.
We'll get him
Hit the follow button for my boy.
Let's talk a little bit about the media and stuff and what you're doing with that as well to bring exposure to all of this.
Yeah, so about 2 years ago now, we started Floyd Street Media. Floyd Street Media, in my opinion, is the finest, cutting edge, top of the line, student athlete driven media content company in the country. So as NIL has evolved, we've been able to get brands in the mix to work with Floyd Street Media and partner with Floyd Street Media, where we can actually facilitate deals, commercials, appearances, anything under the sun, and create a content piece around it, right? So
awesome.
We can do all of that stuff in-house. Like Floyd Street Media will take it start to finish, partner with a company like Aguiar Law, or partner with Kroger or Fifth Third, and actually be able to produce all of the content that comes with putting out a high-end commercial for a client, or putting together a marketing campaign around athletes using Planet Fitness or Suntan City. Those types of things I feel like are the next stage, the next step of college athletics, because there's no more just like under the table pay for play. You got to either get it through NIL Go or you got to get it through rev share. And we have the system in place to give our athletes additional opportunities on top of their rev share payments, because we're able to actually execute the deliverables that come with being paid to work with Planet Fitness or Kentucky Farm Bureau or whoever that might be. All of those things are taken care of in-house, and I think it's one of the best in the country. That's why you can see it impacting our recruiting, because guys want to be a part of it. They see it. They're like, man, you can help me build my brand that way. And I think that as this continues to grow, you're going to see more and more of Floyd Street Media. And that's kind of where the idea of me doing all the personal stuff stemmed from. A lot of it was to get an advantage on the recruiting side, or continue to put out education and content around everything that we were doing well. But then it kind of took on a life of its own, and now it's...
It is great. Your content's awesome. I mean, seriously.
It, man.
I highly encourage you to check it out. I mean, Instagram's... I caught myself watching a lot of it, but very important. It is educational, and I think there's... The audience has so many questions about what's going on because it's so big. So anyhow, I huge kudos to it. I wanted to bring it up, give you that prop, because we're getting you to 20,000. 20,000.
We'll get him to 20,000. We got to wrap it up. So I want to thank you, Dan. This is awesome. Like from a sports nuts.
Nah, this is cool.
This has been really cool.
Really
and
cool.
Last question, we'll cut it out. Your expectation for the NCAA tournament? How far the card's going to go?
I think they're going to go a little run here.
Let's go.
They're built for the tournament. The whole team, and a lot of times in college sports now, Louisville basketball was built out to have success this time of year. And that's why there's so much depth. There's so much versatility. Hopefully we can get healthy and get this thing
Let's
rolling.
go.
Yeah, man.
I love seeing him do well. Hopefully Kentucky makes it to the tournament.
It really starts tomorrow. Or
I mean,
Wednesday.
essentially, yeah.
Let's go. Hey, listen, there is
It's
no
here,
greater
baby.
time of the year for sports.
It's here.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks
You
again.
guys are the blind squirrel or something.
Nice girl. Let's go. All right, good deal. So, all right. Well, listen. Thanks for joining us here at the closing table, man. We've really enjoyed this. So, on behalf of the Funding Fathers, really, really sincerely thank you for coming in, man. It's been
Appreciate
amazing.
it. Thanks,
Appreciate you,
buddy.
brother.
See ya.
You guys, man.
Thanks.
Appreciate you.